Hi there, Virgo. This is your weekly reading for the week of November 30th. I hope you're having a wonderful start to December. I hope your holidays were great, and I wish you all great good things this holiday season. This week, we're coming off of the energy of the Sun in Sagittarius, which is your solar fourth house of home and family, home environment, and that was squaring Neptune in Pisces, which is your seventh house of marriage, committed partnerships, committed relationships, business partnerships, and even best friends that you associate with as your roommates. Okay, it isn't always about romantic, it is about partnership, and that's where we usually see the difference between the fifth house of romance and dating and the seventh house of committed relationships. Squaring Neptune in Pisces is somewhat uncomfortable because Pisces, being that seventh house, is somewhat at odds with Sagittarian type of energy. So we've got this sun that is sending its glaring shine over to what could have been some issues that were quiet enough when they were brushed under the rug, pushed behind the cupboard, or stuffed into the closet, but now they're coming up for review. This should be probably the last time this year that you see this energy working its way through this part of your relationship sector. It isn't something that you have to really worry about as much as most people, because you're already aware of what these issues are. I would find it very difficult that a Virgo native or a Virgo rising would be pushing things that long under the proverbial rug, because sooner or later you know that you'd be the one that would trip over this. And so keeping in mind that these are issues that have always been present or for the duration have been there should give you some peace and understanding that these are not new issues. Last week I was asking you guys to think back to 2007 to ask yourself what it was that you were experiencing, what were you involved in, what were your challenges, what were the main themes, because this is somehow tied to it in that there could be a theme that is part of the thread of the same story, or this could be a situation where you realize, oh no, not again. I see this as a pattern that is attempting to repeat, and I'm going to change this. We're coming also off the energy of Sun in Sagittarius, conjunct Saturn in Sagittarius at the same time. Again, some reality checks that have to do with home and family and the structure of your home environment as it is now, perhaps reminiscent of issues that were present when you were a child related to your home and family environment. With that said, let's continue to see what this week has in store for you. Monday, the card that you've drawn is the Four of Cups, and the Four of Cups is talking about these stark realizations at times that we would rather not deal with. And I guarantee you, the more direct and squarely you face whatever it is that you need to get under control this week, you're going to be more successful. This card really isn't about sorrow as much as it is about apathy. And so apathy being just a state of mind, in my opinion, that is not like sitting on a fence, but in some ways emotionally and psychologically, we really don't know how we feel. We're almost more satisfied with not knowing how to articulate the way we're feeling anyway, that we'd rather just kind of sit there in the moment. And that's okay if that's what you need. Take a break. There's no sense in hurrying any of this process, because these are themes that are working themselves out. And it's like anything else. If you've got a chain, a piece of jewelry that has tangles or kinks in it, the more you mess with it and the more you force it, the more difficult it is to adjust and to work the kinks out of. So let it be what it is and continue to just experience your feelings. And if it's more comfortable to feel them and not articulate them, do that, because I guarantee you that sooner or later there will be the opportunity to say what needs to be said or to respond in kind to questions that others have. On Tuesday, the card that you've drawn is the Two of Wands. This is a card that's good for you, I think, in this time at this week because of the astrology, and that you're looking forward to new vistas, new opportunities on the horizon, looking to your future with the sense of hope. So anytime that we come from a Four of Cups to a Two of Wands type of plateau, it's a good place to stand there for a moment and enjoy the view. If anything, to think about your life like the horizon of limitless potentials, and then picture what it is that you might want to incorporate next into your life. Maybe incorporate into your goals. Maybe think about the skill sets that will be required to make some of that magic happen. The astrology that we're dealing with on Tuesday is Mercury in Sagittarius, which is again your solar fourth house that we're going to be talking a lot about, trining Uranus in Aries, which is your solar eighth house. The eighth house deals with issues related to what the partner partnership produces or doesn't produce, what the relationship makes together, what the two different people or two different situations can make together, blended together. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What do we get? This is also the house of transformation, death, and taxes. And this isn't the place that a lot of people like to work on or to think about, because sometimes there are some realities that we'd rather not face when it comes to the truth behind our relationships or the motivations of the people therein. The eighth house also deals with energies and situations that have to do with the sexual function, the sensuality, the passion that's in that relationship or the lack of it. So having this trine here could bring some interesting, if not unusual or foreign revelations about the relationship, but they can be harmonized and blended into a level of understanding where, of course, it's up to you to take this information, take these realities and make something with them. You could have different scenarios and even one or two of these aspects being negative, and you could still make positive out of it. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius is squaring Chiron in Pisces, your seventh house. So again, we're dealing with the energy of some wounding that will be healed, could be healed in the same fashion as where the wounding is. So it's kind of like the wounded healer comes in and heals itself through the wounding. So with that said, opposite Virgo, it's almost like you need to really face the reality of this relationship, especially if it's not a married or committed partnership that's very strong. If it is a real romantic relationship that's kind of rocky, or the foundation wasn't strong enough to begin with, this is where this kind of energy would show you exactly where the flaws are. What you do with it from there, of course, depends on free will and other people's free will. We can't force people to love us, and we can't force ourselves to love anybody else. And sometimes the reality is we're better off just having lots of friends and working through the way we feel and making sense of what we really want, if we ever even want to go into relationship again. Mercury also in Sagittarius will sextile Apollo in Libra. Apollo is all about talking about taking the lead, taking the initiative, leading the directive all on your own. Second house, of course, being that of finances, the material possessions and items that we buy with the money that we make, in the sixth house of the job and or the 10th house of the career. So with that said, we're going into the holiday season, and there could be a little bit of an issue of overspending, or the desire to overspend, or the missus or the mister wants to buy this and that for the entire household, or we're losing sense of what the holiday, what the reason for the season really is. You guys know I've studied everything and religion, and I don't do religion. I have subscribed to everything, been a part of it, tried to be as involved as I could to really learn what it is that people find that they take away from religion. But really all I do is Jesus. I really don't go any further than that. Of course, you know, being Cuban, that I was raised somewhat like a Catholic, but at the same time, my grandfather was a very high degree master mason, and my mother didn't get to be raised that way because her father died before that, but that influence was always there, as well as being Afro-Caribbean. You know, the emphasis there with Santeria, or what now is called La Regla Ocha. That is another way I was raised. So really I was lucky in that I didn't get put into any boxes. If anything, my mother cut me loose and said, just don't get brainwashed. So remembering here that Apollo wants you to take the lead, whatever the reason of the season is for you, whether it is about the birth of Jesus Christ, our Savior, or whether you just see it as a holiday to think about a big fat guy coming down a chimney and bringing presents and or coal to people appropriately, it's okay, because you just need to take the leadership. You need to take the directive to make sure that the budget doesn't get out of control. On the same day, we have the Sun in Sagittarius sextiling Ceres in Aquarius. Aquarius being your solar sixth house of work, and Ceres asking you to make sense of a power struggle here. If you have a job and there's competition, or you're with a partner in a job, in a business, self-employed or employed with somebody, where both of those two people, both of you have to make this thing work, there could be some issues. And it could even relate to finances, as it were, as they relate to this bonus season when people are looking forward to some money. What kind of profits do we have to split up? And, you know, there could be some contention here, because it could be that maybe you need more money to give your family what they're begging for. At the same time, your buddy is like, hey, wait a second, your partner's saying, we don't have this kind of money to blow like this. We need to invest in this business. And there could be some compromises that need to be effected to get this thing going and to keep the altercations and misunderstandings under control. Wednesday, we have the Page of Cups, which could indicate a surprise of some kind. And it doesn't have to be a bad one, but there's definitely some information that will come to you by Wednesday. And if it's of an emotional nature, it could be a fish in a cup. I don't know why anyone would want to kiss a fish, but you never know. Maybe there's something here of a surprise for you. On Wednesday, the astrology talks to us about Mercury and Sagittarius opposing Psyche in Gemini. Gemini being your 10th house of career. Coming right off of this Two of Wands that could be related to the 6th house of Aquarius and the job, the thing you do every day to make that money to put the stuff into the closets and into the cupboards of the 2nd house. We have some surprises here that are going to be somehow part of a transformation that needs to occur in this area of your life. So the fact that this is in your 10th house, which is your career sector, your fame, your reputation, there could be something at stake, and how you handle it is really going to pave the way for what you do, how you handle experiences, how you walk into 2016. This keeping in mind with the idea that Psyche is all about transformation and really asking you, what the hell are you enduring here and why? What is this all about, and how does it benefit you to put up with what this situation is? Is it about keeping up appearances? Because appearances never fed me. Well, maybe some appearances on some shows and things like that would feed me, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to convey the message that even if this is something that you need to look at and deal with, and you just feel like you don't want to fail at another marriage or another business or another relationship or another thing, remember, none of those things are going to put food in your mouth, a roof over your head. So if I were you, I would look even at the potential if something goes wrong and people think that you're not the best person in the world. Remember, if they don't sign your paycheck, I really don't see how it matters. On Thursday, we've got the 5 of Wands in reverse, and this is the idea that there could be a level of combativeness, and maybe hopefully it's just a creative difference. But the 5 of Wands could indicate that, we're getting close to the point where people realize that these differences don't need to create such problems in our lives. Sometimes a little bit of a power struggle is helpful to clear the air, as long as you don't deck the old lady in the face, and as long as nobody has to call the cops on you. Thursday, the astrology talks about Mercury in Sagittarius, semi-sextile Bacchus in Capricorn. When Bacchus is in Capricorn and is already trying to talk to us about wanting out of this relationship, it could be that for you, my friend, you're fantasizing by having a dream that you play over and over in your mind about a person that you're attracted to or someone from the past that you miss. Really isn't worth your time, and be careful if you talk in your sleep. It's going to make me sing the old Hall & Oates lyrics. I hear the sea. Well, maybe it wasn't Hall & Oates. I think I've got them wrong. But anyway, in terms of this kind of information that you could be focused on in order to escape your problems, it's really going to be there to, if anything, soothe you for a minute. It won't be long lasting. So the better choice would be to take this energy and figure out just exactly what it is that you need to do to make yourself happy and fulfilled in the real world and not just in the dream world. Dreams are great for creative enterprise, but they're really not going to make things happen in the real world. We can't just be in bed asleep or drugged or zoned out otherwise to have access to those things that we wish we could make real. Mercury in Sagittarius will trine Minerva in Leo. Leo being your 12th house. This is where we get this energy of quiet and reflection, contemplation, introspection. And this is where Minerva's asking you to draw upon the wisdom of the experiences that you've had, even if it is up to this point in your life. There's nothing better than being able to look at any current situation with eyes that are wise because of experiences in life. This is the truth. It doesn't mean that you can apply the same fixes or corrections or amplifying a better situation to downplay another. It just is all about looking at it with the trained eyes that only experience can bring. Mercury in Sagittarius will also sextile Cupid in Libra. Libra being your solar 2nd house, of course, is going to make you want to buy some pretty things and give some gifts, and maybe you want to buy yourself a gift too. And you realize that, again, this is the danger where, you buy the beautiful trinket and you realize that it only brought you a measure of satisfaction, because anywhere that Cupid is involved, there is like a short-term type of fix. It's a short-term high. It's a short-term thrill. And then what are you going to do? Go back and shop till you drop and burn up your credit cards? I doubt it. On Friday, the card you've drawn is the World. And the World card here talks about summing up the sum total of everything that we've been through to this point. So maybe this is where you're making sense of everything, going, you know what? Even if this relationship or this job or this friendship or whatever the situation, I'm not at peace right now, I know that I can help it wrap itself up by making sense of these things. This is indicative that the end is near to some chapter in your life. You need to just allow it to transform and take shape into what it wants to be. Mercury in Sagittarius squaring Jupiter and Virgo on this day, of course, is talking about your solar 1st house of identity. So there's something here that the universe wants you to take a look at, and it could be all about asking you, hey, dude, what do you think about things things thus far? What do you think about your life right now? Are you satisfied? Are you feeling deprived? Do you need more education? Would another degree make you feel good and that's all you need? Is it just that you feel like you need to do something for yourself and you're tired of doing for everyone else, which is something that Virgo goes through once in a while? Keep that in mind. Also, Venus enters Scorpio. And again, you're going to feel tempted to buy yourself some pretty things. And remember, it's all pretty until the debt is showing at the door in the form of a credit card statement at the end of January. With that said, we move into Saturday. Don't freak. This is a warning at this point because there could be a situation in your life that organically and all on its own, because there's nothing astrological here necessarily. Now, remember, I don't see your natal chart. I'm only using solar astrology and my wits about me to give you this information and to provide it in a way that I think you could use. But all on its own, this card is talking about a situation that is already unstable and you know it. The foundation has never been stable enough to begin with, and sometimes we do build card houses in the sand. Now, if it comes to a relationship, part of it will be the realization that there is a lack of compatibility, or you're feeling used, or you realize, oh my gosh, this person I'm dating only wants me for what I can give her or what I can buy her kids or what I can do for her, and then I find out that she is sleeping with 2 other people and somebody's cousin. You know, at that point, the realization is that you know that this has been a long time coming, and that's part of whatever it was that was being swept under the rug. I say when the card shows up, let the damn thing fall. If it's that unstable, I don't want it, neither do you. We can't even sell it to somebody else because it never passed inspection. So the truth is that nobody is prepared for what the Tower ever does, because it is somewhat like the energy of Uranus, where we're like, boom, kick in the ass, something changes. And so maybe you just need to go with these changes and let it fall. When it all hits the ground, you'll know what's salvageable and what isn't. But I guarantee you, if you had your choice, you wouldn't rebuild on the same foundation that was already flawed. On Sunday, the card that we've drawn is the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man indicates a good place for you to stop and think. Here is when we're reflecting on what things are from a different perspective. Perhaps your vantage point is atop the rubble. Maybe your vantage point is from underneath the covers, but whatever reason this has to come about, it is necessary for you to see that something in particular about your life is unstable. And it really could be happening to one of your children and that kind of thing, that your relationship is solid, that your marriage or your committed partnership or whatever is fine, or maybe you don't involve yourself in relationships at this time, and your job and your business associations, your partnerships, these things are all okay, and you're watching this mess of a mess go down with one of your relatives or your children, etc., ad nauseum. It could be, that way. But the reality is that at this time, it is a better place to kind of hold still and look at this from hindsight perspective on Sunday, because the sun in Sagittarius is sextiling Mars in Libra. Now, remember, try not to involve yourself too much in your children's romantic relationships or giving too much unsolicited advice. You're well-intended, we always know that. But the problem is if you start talking smack about that kid's wife or girlfriend, or vice versa, boyfriend, husband, I'm telling you that it's going to come back later, because these 2 people probably won't break up. And then they're just going to remember all the shit you talked about that person. Keep that in mind. Sun in Sagittarius, semi-sextile Pluto on Capricorn, again, is talking about the idea that 5th house of romance, children, creativity, it could be your own children, it could be somebody else's children that somehow you've inherited or somehow been thrown at you in the process, that there is a need to adjust this energy. Now, part of the process is going to be some revealed facts, some things that are not the most fun. But you know what? Think like a scorpion like me. Dig it up, look at the bones, take a tissue sample, decide what you're going to do with it, and then bury that crap back up, because there's not much more you can do with it. Mercury in Sagittarius squaring Hygeia in Virgo, your solar first house, is talking about now and in the future. Anytime we can make changes to make corrections in our lives to prevent things that happen. That's what the message of Hygeia is. Hygeia talks about preventing problems from happening in the first place, making corrections as soon as you see them, and not wishing shoulda, woulda, coulda that they were different. Hygeia wants you to think that prevention is the cure. So if you're dating somebody right now and this person is a freaking nightmare, and you're like, holy shit, 2 years later, I realize this person's crazy. Well, okay, then start to do something about making sure that in the future you recognize these symptoms, and that you just don't see them through rose-colored glasses and end up having to cram those glasses up somebody's butt in the end. Also, Mars in Libra is going to square Pluto in Capricorn. Again, there could be an issue, some bone of contention between you and a lover, a family member, could even be one of your children that has a financial connotation, and you say, that's enough, I can't support you, you need to go back to college if you have no skills and get another degree, or you need to finish a GED if you didn't get one. Something has to start the chain of events with your children, for example, that if they are not academically strong, we need to not point fingers and say, who is it that did it, didn't do it, who protected this person from the criticism of some teacher at school who in the end was right and mom or dad was denying the fact that there was something wrong, because it looks like money out of your pocket is going to be required to keep this person afloat if they never do get their education underway. Now, this might be a difficult reality check if it is about your children, because we want to protect our children, but I guarantee you something, Virgo, relationships are easy. You can ball them up, throw in the trash like I do, or somebody had a joke about me once, and it was my brother actually, who said that I change my boyfriends like I change my underwear. Interesting, I go commando a lot, but the reality is relationships can be easily dismissed and get these people out of our lives and we're done. But children, you can't get out of your lives. You're not helping your children if you make excuses for them in one way or another, because you know what? Unless you are a millionaire and can establish trust funds for these people, there's no guarantee when you're dead they won't burn through it anyway on 15 Lamborghinis and a Happy Meal. So keep that in mind, Virgo. Things are going to go very well for you after this first week, which is all about adjustments and even reality checks. And if they help bring the situation to some fullness or fruition so that you can look at it and what it is, the smart thing to do, the intelligent thing to do is look at it, make sense of it, and be the reality check that maybe your own kids need. And with that, I will be talking to you in about a week, and I wish you all the best.